inspired to push through. Because there's a spark in you. Breakthrough or bust. Hello, welcome back to Breakthrough or Bust, and I have the great pleasure of introducing Kimberly Lechnick today. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, Kaluwa. It is so great to be here on Breakthrough or Bust. I love
I'm
it.
so excited. And this is another thing. I know a lot of people complain about social media and how inauthentic, but when you're being authentic on social media, you meet the best people. And so Kimberly and I somehow became connected, and she had this garden post. Of course, I had to comment on that, right? And then it was just like kismet, as they say, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and we had just such a great conversation. I said, you know what? You've got to come to Breakthrough or Bust. And so I am so excited that you are here. Kimberly, will you tell everybody a little bit about you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, before I do that, thank you so much, Kaluwa. We not only, I just want to preface before we kind of jump into that, how wonderful the connection was around the garden and around kayaking. We just share into we share so many similar interests. It was really an excellent connection. So I'm so glad to be here. So with that being said, my name is Kimberly Lechnick. And I am a relationship growth strategist. And you might be thinking, what in the world is that? Well, basically, I love relationships. There isn't anything that I don't love it. And you might be saying, oh, so you think you're really good at relationships. Well, yeah, and I've had a lot of bumps and bruises along the way, and I continue to have those bumps and bruises, but I still love them. Because for me, relationships are everything that we do, everything.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, it all comes down to our relationships. And so
Absolutely. They're just what makes life worth living, right? We don't just go to work all day and come home and sleep. We have relationships with our coworkers, with our family, with our lovers, with our friends, right?
yes, absolutely. And they're all really, really juicy, right? Because when it comes down to it, they're all a reflection of who we are as
Mm,
people.
yeah.
And that we could have an amazing discussion and on, right?
Yeah.
What is being reflected back to you now, and sometimes I'm telling you that that's where the bruises come in, because sometimes when we look in the mirror, sometimes it's like, do you really like the reflection?
Hmm.
Are you really loving it? And if you're not really loving it, it's okay, right? Because we
Thank
all
you.
have those moments, including
Yeah,
where the bruises are,
that's
right?
it. And that's why I say all the time, that's a gift because that just shows you what you want to change. There you go.
Yes. And people, I don't know if you'd agree with this, Kaluwa, but people often think that, oh, like change, right?
Mm.
Where some of us are adverse to change,
Oh,
or,
yeah.
it's painful. But I'm telling you, what's on the other side of that is just amazing. It's
Yeah.
just amazing. So I'm a relationship growth strategist. Back to that. Sorry about the tangent. Um,
No, love those tangents. You know me.
but there's three sides to what I do. I call it the triad. And on one side, I am a TV show producer and show host for Faith Rising, Feel the Fire. And we are always looking for social entrepreneurs. And we can talk about the definition of that later. Would love to talk about the definition of that with you later. And then on the other side, on the right side of what I do, I have a collaboration with a fantastic lady in leadership, and we are out to impact and the corporate woman. Why? Because, oh my goodness, she needs us. She
Hmm.
absolutely needs us more now than ever. And then I love motivating entrepreneurs and men, women. It really doesn't matter. I love using the tool of the metaverse.
Mm.
When we think about going into the future and we think about bulletproofing our businesses, there is something called the metaverse that you really want to know about, whether you're a speaker, an event planner, a coach, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher. It doesn't, it, I'm telling you, a real estate agent, the the experiences that you can create in the metaverse are just amazing. So terrific tool. That's my triad. And thanks so much for giving me space to chat about that, Kaluwa.
Yeah, that sounds really fascinating. I feel like a lot of people are going to be ringing your number about that. So tell me about we were gabbing a little bit before we got on here, and so your story relates a bit to your show.
Mm.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Oh my goodness. So uh, I was an entrepreneur, just like many of your listeners. I am an entrepreneur, like many of your listeners. But when I think back to just starting out, I was looking for a way that I could serve at a higher level. I had over 25 years supporting children and families. And I'm thinking, how can I up level my level of service? And so I thought, coaching. Coaching seems to be a really great fit. Why? Because I was doing it all along without even realizing it, right?
Hmm.
Without even realizing it, I was doing it. So I thought, okay. And my intention was at the time, I was just going to coach a few people. Why not? Right? Why not? It can only, help a few people. Well, I think there were other plans for me. And as I shared with you before we hopped on this conversation, that ended up turning into my joining a local networking group in my area. And when I joined that networking group, of course, I was thinking, oh my gosh, like I need a community. I need a network of people that, can be supportive and join the community. And when I first started out as an entrepreneur, I was really broad in my niche. So it was all about family. And it still really is. It's just a different perspective on how, we're addressing it. But anyway, so started out with family, joined this group, and then eventually, as a little bit of time went by, I ended up becoming the relationship concierge for this entire online community and in-person community, which was fantastic because there was over 5,000 entrepreneurs in this online community and dozens of entrepreneurs that were coming in the organization in person. So, wow, what an opportunity. What a blessing, right? What an absolute blessing. So I started interviewing these heart-centered entrepreneurs and just interviewing, motivating. And while I was doing that, I ended up creating my own show called Empower Me Now. I wanted to empower women. I want to empower everyone, but, my heart was with the woman. And after pitching it a couple different times, I was realizing this Empower Me Now, it's good, but there's something else deeper inside here. So one of the ladies had broken off, and then the other lady, Lindsay, she stayed with me, and we created Faith Rising Feel the Fire. So it was just amazing, Kaluwa. And it is amazing. It continues to be amazing. Why? Because as entrepreneurs, and I think you would agree, it's all about the unfolding,
Yeah.
right, of our journey and where we're supposed to be and how we're going to
Mhm.
get there, and just the allowing.
So it's funny, I hear a few things sticking out. First, I have to laugh because once again, I draw in somebody who used to work in service and is now helping people. It's like I'm going to create like a whole little tribe of us. Secondly, that idea of, and this is, I think, where a lot of people get caught up, where they get stuck in that breakdown before the breakthrough of It's supposed to be this. I am working towards this. But it turns out there was a bigger vision for me than I even realized. And when we trust and we flow and we go with that, it becomes so much greater instead of struggling and kicking. And, they talk about with the riptides, you swim against them, you wear yourself out, you drown, right?
Yeah.
Yikes. You let go, you float with them, you get right back to where you need to be. And it's just that idea. I love it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Because each and every one of us were created in purpose and for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I
And
think oftentimes we have no idea how amazing we are. Of course, we couldn't possibly. Honestly, I think if we knew, we'd be so terrified, we'd be hiding under a table somewhere, right? So that's why we don't have all of the information. But having that trust.
yes, and that is what it is. This isn't, like something that I went and thought about for hours and hours. This was an unfolding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I put a lot of time and a lot of energy into the planning of it, but I think the key, and I heard you say it too, the key really to all of our journeys, and especially when they're rooted in purpose, is that flow, is the flexibility, and really honestly looking within and tapping into your creativity. And I want to tell you, I had a conversation earlier about creativity. There was a time that I didn't think I had a creative bone in my body.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I remember being young and drawing a picture and crumbling it up and throwing it away. But now I paint freely. I don't want to give the impression that I'm an artist by any means. I'm not. But I will do it at home for self-expression. Would not hang it up in a gallery anywhere. But I do it for self-expression.
I'm going to challenge you to reframe that and say you are an artist, because that's exactly why an artist does it.
Well, I'm saying, like, it's not a Van Gogh. It's not a, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's an outlet for my creativity. And when I first realized that years ago, it really was a game changer. So again, really being flexible, allowing creativity in. If you feel like me, like 20 plus years ago, where you're like, oh, wait a second, I'm not creative, think again.
Yeah.
We're all born with creativity. It's just a matter of being able to tap into it and explore different ways and bring that into your life so you can use that powerful tool to use in your journey. It really, really is.
Yeah. And once again, my audience is going to be like, here she goes. But again, that marrying the masculine with the feminine. And I feel like I do say it a lot. It's like that idea that when you set a goal and you start taking action towards it, it's not about that destination. It's about who you become in the process. So as you take those steps, you change. So maybe the ultimate goal changes, but until you do that introspection, right, that inward look, you can just sit there and keep like pounding away trying to force this, or you can come back and say, what's going on for me now? Oh, well, now we're going to shift over here to this other show. Like, this was a really cool idea, and I never would have gotten here to this show without the previous idea.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That had to happen. So think about, and I hope your audience can reflect on that. Think about what preceded. And don't be in your head too much. Just be in your heart. Drop down into your heart. And when you're in your heart space, then you know that this is your jam. Like, this is your jam, and you have a jam. Like, I just want to walk away from our conversation today, letting everyone know they have a jam.
Yes.
all are created for a purpose.
Thank
And
you.
no, I'm not the first one who said it. In fact, I love Rick Warren and he talks a lot about purpose. But yes, tap into it, because when you
Yeah.
tap into it, and it doesn't have, you might be like, oh my God, like I'm working. How can I
Yeah.
tap into my
Yeah.
purpose?
Yeah.
Can I tell a story really quick?
Please. Yeah. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, so like 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks have been like hurricane force winds, right? And I'm thinking, I'm not literally, but I'm saying like just really kind of like, oh my gosh, and I'm really focused in into my belly and I'm saying, oh my gosh, like this is getting really, really heavy, and then the doubt wants to creep in. I tell you this, and this is a true story, and it happens. I go outside and I touch and connect with my plants,
Mm.
and all of everything just comes out. So it
Wow.
may not be plants for you. It could be kayaking. It could be, boating of some dancing, drawing, um, rock, rock polishing. It could be stamp collecting. There's so many.
Crafting. Yeah.
Crafting, stamping, yeah, sewing.
Yeah.
It can be anything. But I'm
I
telling you,
know somebody who does it ironing.
God, washing dishes.
Yeah.
Like,
For me, sometimes it's mowing the lawn. That's why I keep that job for me.
yes, because it's those daily tasks of living that can give us, so much. It can teach us so much.
Hmm.
It can just really teach us so much. Anyway, I got that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Just again, it's getting out of your head and getting so as you clear your mind, whether it be moving your body, whether it be focusing on a craft, grounding with nature, whatever it is, you're getting out of your head, which is allowing all that download, all the intuition to just show up and guide you.
And
Yeah.
be quiet
Yeah.
and listen. Be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, there was a time again that I didn't, I don't know if you watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love, but there's this episode where Julia Roberts is like, darn it, I can't be silent. And the guy's like, you just let go. And
Hmm.
that can be more true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can be more
And
true.
it's so funny, as you're saying it, I have to think about like so how guilty I am myself sometimes of just that you've got to let go and have no expectations. The answer might not come in that moment. And it's so funny how many times I've had to be like, okay, what is it? Come on, give me my answer. Come on, come on. And it's like, oh, what am I doing? Right? You gotta just forget it. Don't worry about it. You're not gonna hear anything. Just get quiet. And
Right.
if you hear something, like if you get something in the moment, fantastic. But just by taking that time to do that, it will show up at some point in your day, in your week. It will show up.
Yes, and it's not selfish. That's important also. It's not selfish to take that time for yourself, even if you have young children, put them at the
Oh,
table,
you
let them.
need it even more if you have young children. It's a
Yes,
requirement.
absolutely. Put them at the table, put some markers and crayons or some Legos there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and do your thing. Do your
Yeah.
jam. And if you have to split it up, just stay in response mode and not reactive mode. And I'm telling you, um, do it for 7 days and see what comes through,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that because, just through that, how you're saying put yourself in response mode, it reminds me that just that is a practice in receiving. When
Yes.
you pray, you're putting out, right? But when you meditate, you're receiving, you're bringing in. And so just through that, like how much will change in your life that you open up to receiving your gifts, help, support, collaboration, all of the
Yes.
beautiful things that, yes, if you're not willing to receive, you're missing out on.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Oh, I love this so much. Oh, so many great messages. What I want to connect back with you on is, so, of course, I'm hearing that you overcame the challenge by trusting, by being in the flow, but this can be a challenge for a lot of people. What do you think? What do you think for someone? I would say probably we know that we're not in the flow because we're banging our head on the brick wall, or there's a pattern that's happening. I have a friend who says, the universe goes poke, 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 slap. So
I've
if you're
slapped a few times.
yes, when you find yourself in that pattern, we've all been there. My aunt says it's a spiritual 2x4.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Sometimes then I stop, I'm starting to get a little bit better about it, right? You just have to do it a couple hundred times.
Yes.
But I'll hit my head and say, hey, wait a second. I hit my head on the wall again. What's wrong with me?
Yes, yes, yes. So when our listeners are finding themselves in one of those patterns that we know so well, what is a great way, as somebody who might not be in the flow, as somebody who's not practiced being in their intuitive self or trusting themselves, do you have any recommendations?
Absolutely. So I say do a 7-day challenge with yourself, and I'd be willing to do a 7-day challenge with your community if you wanted, but do a 7-day challenge. And what I mean is, what you're going to do is you're going to do some kind of meditation. And when I say meditation, I think Kaluwa and I were talking about it. I'm not sure if we were talking about it in the feed or we were talking about it prior to our conversation. But meditation means several different things. It does not mean that you have to sit down and do guided practice. It
Yes.
could mean that you're golfing, you're dancing, you're washing the dishes, you're mowing the lawn, you're taking a shower. I had some clients that did their meditation in the shower.
Yeah.
It was the only time that they could have their alone time.
And that's a truly great spot, because the water does not just cleanse you physically, it cleanses you emotionally. Like there's a lot of power in water. So yeah, when you get into all the spiritual with it as well, it's a really fabulous place to meditate.
Right. So I say 5 to 15 minutes. So for those of you who are like never meditated before, I say 5 minutes. And then again, journaling.
Mm.
You can journal. You can journal on a recorder.
Thank you, because there's a lot of journal resistant folks out there.
Yes, you can journal on a recorder while you're out for a run. I have many clients that run. So you don't have to journal and sit down. You can journal on the go. So you can journal on your recorder. You can journal paper, old-fashioned way is good. And then I'd say add an affirmation every day. So those 3 tasks every day for 7 days.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
And see what happens at the end of the 7 days.
Yes. And can I add, with the meditation, I worked with someone who, if you said the word meditation, she got so stressed out because she felt like she had to get it down perfectly. And no, you don't. So if you sit down to quiet your mind and meditate, and all that happens is thoughts, that's okay. And so what you do is you just practice. It's like a muscle. You're going to flex it, right? So you practice and you work it out, and you just sweep all the thoughts and say, thank you. Thanks for showing up, but you can go till later. I don't need you now. And quiet your mind again. And then they'll come back, like other thoughts will come, and you just sweep them again. And that's all you do. That's okay. If you get 5 seconds of
Yeah.
no thoughts, hooray,
And
celebrate.
if you have thoughts, just invite them to join you
Mm-hmm.
time and allow them to be like little clouds,
Mm-hmm.
that are just gently floating by, and see them and wave to them. You can wave to them and say bye.
Yeah.
Like hey, you're gonna come back. Okay, you're coming in and you're
Yeah.
going out. And it's just the natural flow, and just
Yeah.
saying, not that, just being and not resisting. Because what's going to be is going to be. And then eventually, what's going to happen is, like Kaluwa had mentioned, as your muscle is built over time, when they come in, you're like, I don't really have any time for this. I'll pay attention to that later.
Yeah.
I have some time later this afternoon. And if they're there, then I can think about them. If they're not, then that wasn't very important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love this conversation as well.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Or even, if they do show up again, great. What do I need to know from this? And then
Yes.
explore it. Yeah. Oh, this is amazing. So tell me, Kimberly, what piece of advice, what nugget of wisdom do you want to impart on others, whether it be, something you learned along the way, wish you knew, or you just want somebody else to know as they are moving through and, getting past that place of, okay, I have this path, it's not happening. And how do I flow? Or, you know what I mean? Like pushing through that breakdown to get to the breakthrough. And I always say pushing through, but in this case, I'd say flowing through.
Exactly that. Exactly that. I think that I call it the monkey mind. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on up here that just really isn't true. And that
Yes.
includes my mind too. And we all have pre-programmed tape recorders in our heads that are playing old tunes
Yeah.
that aren't really applying to our current visions. And give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, because even when you look on social media, perception is your reality,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot put too much stock into photos or into other people's life experiences. That is a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
What you need is to care for the self and care for all of the gifts that you have been given, because
Mm-hmm.
you have been given the gifts and they are there for you to access. And that's the beauty of it. It's just a matter of you tapping in and being able to access those gifts and massage those resources that you have within you. Just like we talked about creativity, flexibility, and being artistic, all of these skills are inside of you,
Mm-hmm.
just waiting for you. So again, the distraction is the social media piece is just a tool. It is a tool for you to build your business.
Yeah.
Accept it as such.
Yeah.
When you accept it as such, no resistance. I'm telling you, it will be a game changer for you, because
Mm-hmm.
you show up in your integrity and your authenticity for who you are to execute your purpose. And if anything, the world needs you. You're here,
Yes. Thank you.
you're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Absolutely.
here for a reason. And we need you.
Yes. I love it. And I love the thoughts on, the mind garbage, really. And, you know, then people beat themselves up, then they beat themselves up for beating themselves up. And, I just want to take a minute to remind people that, first of all, most of that's probably not even your crap. It's generations of programming that have been passed down that, you know, we don't even know why. But if you go back and look at it, it was for security, stability, right? If you veered from the flock, you would die, right? You know, when you were away from community and at a certain point. There's also the stuff that's been passed down through your DNA, the traumas that have happened there. So there's so many things that have created this programming in you that are probably not even yours. So grace, and that what you said, grace, and it's a word that has been showing up a lot. So I really want to emphasize that word grace, because I feel like there's a reason that word is showing up so much. And so I want to remind people to have that grace for themselves, to love themselves unconditionally. And even when the, what is it, the itty bitty shitty committee shows up in your head and starts that nonsense, okay, well, that was humorous, thank you, but that's not mine. And, you know, reframe it. Yeah. And yes, that remembering, we need you. We need your creative, unique way of seeing the world. We need you to tell us about it. We need you to bravely stand up, speak, be seen, and we love you. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, that's just undeniable. It's just undeniable. We cannot push that away. That is a truth.
Yes.
That is a truth. That it doesn't matter what your religion or your belief system, you were created on purpose, for a purpose, and we need you. We need you now more than ever. And we don't have to get on turning on the radio or the television, because I try to avoid that as much as possible in regards to the news. But we do need to stay informed. We need you.
Yes. Oh, Kimberly, thank you so much. This has been great. And do you mind sharing where people can find you and your show and everything else?
Absolutely, absolutely. So Faith Rising, Feel the Fire is accessible on JD3 TV. And you can find me on, oh my gosh, for a second, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Kimberly Lechnick. You can find me at Faith Rise Fire. You can find me on LinkedIn, again, Kimberly Lechnick, relationship growth strategist. And you can also find me on Twitter, and you can, yeah, I'm all over the place. But the important part is that if you need to reach out, I'm very accessible and would love to have a conversation with you on anything that we've discussed. Not to mention, if you are a social entrepreneur that has a 501c3 or a social project, we really need you. We need you now more than ever. We need to highlight you. And I know you're probably thinking, you know what, I've got so many tasks and things that I'm trying to complete. But I'm telling you, this platform was created for that very thing, because we know that you are busy on the ground, just like many of the entrepreneurs that we've already interviewed. But we need you because we need your light. We need to shine your light. So thank you so much, Kaluwa.
Love it. Thank you so much. And I'm going to change my outro just a little bit today and remind everyone to keep flowing through, because there's a spark in you. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.